During this railway adventure, incredible track loops, a drive-up train, and one of the world's longest tunnels on Switzerland's Bern Simplon Railway. Hi, I'm Bernie Coppell. Just up the tracks, the English Channel Project, the magnificent Cander Viaduct, and more. Join me from Bern to Brig on railway adventures across Europe. We're about to board a train that circles inside a mountain. It's not a funhouse ride. It occurs out of necessity on a major international rail link through Switzerland. Our railway adventure begins in Bern, Switzerland's capital city. We'll then travel on an incredible railway to Brig, our destination. This is one of the most exciting railway adventures any traveler could hope for. We'll pass through one of the world's longest and most costly tunnels, view ancient castles and the famous Bluest or Blue Lake. Emerge from the Hondrich Tunnel along the river Cander, ride past the enormous arches of the Cander Viaduct, see where Johannes Brahms composed concertos, and make a wild 180-degree loop into the heart of a mountain. All this by the Bern Simplon Railway, plus an excursion up a mountainside on the Niesen Funicular Railway. All aboard for Conquest of the Alps.
Our railway adventure takes us on the BLS Railway, an incredibly efficient system of railroads through some of Switzerland's most spectacular mountains, lakes, rivers, and valleys. The International Railway is a link between Switzerland's capital city Bern, south through the high Alps to Brig and on to Italy. In 1857, a group of engineers drew the plans for this international network. Over 130 years later, the dream is a high-speed reality. Eurocity express trains and international freight trains vie for space on this busy alpine crossing that forms the heart of the Bern-Simplon Railway, known simply as the BLS. The BLS railway system is a large electrified mainline network comprised of a number of different railroads. Some are privately owned, others are part of the Swiss Federal Railways. We'll begin our adventure from Bern, one of the busiest rail interchanges in the country, and travel south to Thun. There are two routes to Thun. One has a stop in Belt, just a bit west of the main line. The other is a direct route south through Thun. Many people consider Thun the true starting point of the BLS. Although the station is owned by the Federal Railways, they work with the BLS in a unique public-private ownership arrangement. Outside the railway station, ships belonging to the BLS wait in the shadow of an ancient castle to take summer passengers on a cruise around the Lake of Thun. In Switzerland, the ship, train, and bus stations and their schedules are all conveniently interconnected. Transportation to outlying villages is available from the railway station by regular bus service. Leaving Thun by rail, our train passes Lake Thun. It was along these banks that Johann Brahms spent his summers composing concertos. As we push south to Spitz, the rail lines follow the west side of the lake. In Spitz, the train station sits high above the town. From here, there's a magnificent view of Lake Thun and the Niederhorn, rising 6,400 feet on the opposite side of the lake. Easily visible from the platform is the symmetrical cone of the Niesen Mountain, nearly 7,800 feet above sea level. The train station is full of activity as trains are divided and connections are made for rail lines to other destinations. At Spitz, the BLS railroads connect east to Interlaken and Bonningen. But we'll save this arm of the BLS for another episode of Railway Adventures. Our BLS train departs the Spitz station for the mile-long Hondrik Tunnel. When our train emerges, the track runs alongside the fast-flowing river Kander in the Kander Valley. In the Kander Valley of Switzerland, in the town of Mühlenen, stands the train station for the Niesen Funicular Railroad. A funicular operates on a cable system. This little train carries passengers to the Niesen summit, 5,500 feet above the Kander Valley. Cars like this used to be the only way for downhill skiers to get a lift up. Today, passengers are making the trip just for the incredible views that reward them at the summit. Far below, the express trains of the BLS rush up and down the Kander Valley, with their passengers relaxing in the air-conditioned luxury that's the hallmark of modern railway travel across Europe. The BLS rails swing in a large curve past the small station at Vengi before they approach the town of Frutigen. Frutigen is the terminal for a number of local rail services and is a transfer point for interconnecting buses that take passengers further up the valley. This is the commercial center of the area. Here, grains and cereals from surrounding farms are stored, then transported. Just past the Frutigen station are the 11 enormous arches of a magnificent bridge called the Kander Viaduct. Sitting next to the old bridge is a new one, recently constructed to handle increased railway traffic in both directions. Both are a fitting introduction to the amazing engineering works of the BLS Railway. We'll cross more as we head over the rugged terrain of Switzerland. Glaciated valleys are common geological features of this country. When the ancient glaciers retreated, huge deposits of rock created enormous steps in the valley floors. Though picturesque, one of these steps provides a steep challenge to trains heading south from Frutigen. Here they have to climb nearly 1,300 feet in a distance of only 5 miles. A thrill for passengers on the BLS Express comes on the rail lines between Kandergrün and Kandersteg, where there's a magnificent loop of the rail line curving 180 degrees. The train passes the small station at Blautsee-Mietholz. Across the loop, our train heads north down the valley and plunges into a unique tunnel. Inside the mountain, the railway climbs in an almost complete circle, emerging high above the valley floor, heading south once again. Far below, hidden in the trees, is the famous Blautsee, or Blue Lake. The lake was formed centuries ago by a violent avalanche and is one of nature's great wonders. Its brilliant blue color comes from minerals. Blautsee is fed by a high mountain lake called Oschinen. As the water makes its underground passage down, it passes through mineralized rocks. From Blautsee, it's on to points high on top of the Kander Valley, where the valley is well known for its wildflowers and ferns. All trains make a stop at Kandersteg, including the Eurocity Expresses running from Central Europe and Italy. Outside the station, a BLS bus takes ongoing passengers to outlying areas. The convenient bus, ship, and train schedules make traveling in Switzerland a pleasure for both locals and tourists. Kandersteg sits amidst the glorious splendor of the high Alps. It's surrounded by famous peaks: the Bloomless Alphorn, the Doldenhorn, the Balmhorn, and the Attles. Other nearby peaks are the Beere and the Gilhorn. Combined, these mighty mountains form a nearly impenetrable barrier known as the Lochberg. It's through the Lochberg Mountains that the last great alpine tunnel was constructed. This enormous project began at the northern end of Kandersteg on October 15, 1906. It began a day later in Goppenstein at the southern end. The Lochberg Tunnel is a vital transportation link for the country and Europe. Trains roar through every day with many passengers unaware of the dangers faced by the men and women who built it. When construction first began, all went well. An advanced type of boring machine was used for the first time. Using this machine, the crews carved 33 feet a day. But disaster struck in July 1908 when the boring machine broke out of solid rock. In 10 minutes, the tunnel filled with water, stones, and gravel. Tragically, 25 Italian workers lost their lives, and construction was halted for several months. This section of the tunnel was blocked off and abandoned. To bypass the dangerous area, crews added 3 curves and an additional 800 yards to the tunnel. The Lochberg Tunnel is over 9 miles long. It was finally opened after 7 years of construction on July 15, 1913. Since there are no roads over the Lochberg Mountain, motorists load their cars on a special BLS car carrier train at Kandersteg. Passengers can sit in their car or board the train. They are then carried through the Lochberg Tunnel for unloading at Goppenstein on the other end, or vice versa if they're heading north. This unique operation is also being used in the Channel project under the English Channel. Each year, over 800,000 cars travel by train through the tunnel, with about 1/3 belonging to foreign visitors. Cars don't have to be unloaded at Goppenstein. The trains carrying vehicles through Switzerland and Italy are a familiar sight. We depart Goppenstein for Houghton on the BLS train and begin the descent to Brig through a series of tunnels and avalanche shelters along the wild Lanza River Valley. After a sharp curve to the left, the views open up, revealing the Rhone Valley at Houghton. We pass Houghton on Switzerland's BLS railway for our ultimate destination, Brig. The line clings to the north wall of the Rhone Valley. From here, passengers can appreciate the engineering genius of the original railway builders. A good example of those skills can be seen in the high-spanning arches of the Lugelken Bridge, perhaps the most famous on the entire railway. Further down the Rhone Valley stands the Beechtel Steel Bridge with its 312-foot wide arch sitting 255 feet above the gorge. As the rail line approaches the valley floor, the BLS announces its presence in 30-foot letters. Finally, the tracks cross the steel girder bridge over the River Rhone. This is the last landmark on the way to Brig. Arriving at the Brig Junction, the BLS transfers to the Federal Railway's train section, then continues south through the massive Simplon Tunnel to Italy. At Brig, connections can be made through the Swiss Federal Railway to Geneva. From outside the station at Brig, the world-famous Glacier Express departs at a more leisurely pace on its journey from Zermatt to St. Moritz. We'll save that trip for another episode of Railway Adventures. Switzerland's BLS Railway is a fascinating adventure for both its engineering marvel and its magnificent scenery.
Some find adventure climbing mountains, others find it riding through them. In a sense, the BLS is proof that man can move mountains and reach his dreams. We hope you've enjoyed Conquests of the Alps. I'm Bernie Coppell. Join me on the next Railway Adventures Across Europe.
Rail Europe is your one-stop shop for European rail products.